Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at how to divide rational functions. Now if we look at this first example, it says what is the same and what's different about 4/5 times 5/6 and 4/5 divided by 5/6. Well, hopefully you remember how to divide fractions, because when we multiply fractions, like 4/5 times 5/6, we would just get 20/30th, which would reduce to 2/3. But for the other fraction, we don't start with dividing. What we have to do is we have to change this to being a multiplying problem. So when we divide by fractions, it changes to being a multiply problem. We would multiply by the reciprocal of 5/6, which would be 6/5. And when you multiply those together, we get 24/25, which can't be reduced. We're going to apply that same concept now to when we have to divide rational functions. Like if I have x plus 11 over 4x, and I'm going to divide that by 2x plus 6 over 4x minus, or x squared minus 2, or plus 2x minus 3, we're going to start by changing this to a multiplying problem. So when we do that, the first fraction stays the same, but the other fraction we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. X squared plus 2x minus 3 over 2x plus 6. Now I can see from the second fraction that 2x plus 6 has a greatest common factor of 2. And the numerator, x squared plus 2x minus 3, that we can factor using the Xbox method like we've been doing before. So again, let me show you the sped up version of how to do that. End up getting this factoring to be x plus 3 times x minus 1. So if we write this all out, like we've been doing in the previous video where we were multiplying fractions, we would have x plus 11 times x plus 3 times x minus 1 in the numerator. In the denominator, we would have 4x times this 2, which would actually become 8x, and then x plus 3. Now I want to see what can I cancel out. The x plus 3's cancel out. So in the denominator, I'm going to have 8x. In the numerator, I'm going to have to multiply x plus 11 times x minus 1. So now one way you could do that is by using that box method, which I'll squeeze in over here. So we would have x plus 11 and x minus 1. So I get x squared and 11x. This would be negative x and negative 11. So we would have x squared, 11x minus x would be 10x, and then minus 11 would be your answer. So let's try another one. Now with number 2, again, the first step is always change this to a multiplying problem. So we're going to change this to be 20 over x squared minus 7x. Whoops. Times, we're going to take the reciprocal, so it would be x squared minus 15x plus 56 over 5x squared minus 40x. I always look for a GCF first, and I can see that the denominators have greatest common factors. This has a greatest common factor of x. This one has a greatest common factor of 5x. The numerator doesn't have a greatest common factor, but it looks like we've probably used the Xbox method here, so let me give you the speed up version again. Okay, so hopefully you caught my mistake there, that I put 5x there for some reason instead of 56. But anyhow, I caught it by the end. So we end up factoring that down to be x minus 8 times x minus 7. So let's look at what our problem looks like now. When we multiply the numerators and denominators, we'd have 20 times x minus 8 times x minus 7 in the numerator. The denominator, we would have x and a 5x, or 5x squared, and x minus 7 and x minus 8. Now let's see what can be reduced. So the x minus 8's cancel out, the x minus 7's cancel out. And you might notice that 5 goes into 20 4 times. So in the numerator, we are left with just 4, and the denominator just 1x squared. So this ugly mess simplifies to be 4 over x squared. Well, here we have 2 more examples that I want you to look at. So I want you guys to try these on your own now. So pause this video and hit play when you're ready to check to see if you have the correct answers. Okay, so I look at this, and again, our first step is to get this as a multiplying problem. Okay, so now my next step is to look to see how can we factor these down. So I am going to do the x squared plus x minus 2, followed by the x squared plus 9x plus 14 using the Xbox method. So this first one factors down to be x plus 2 times x minus 1. Whoops. Okay, let's work on the other one. Okay, so this factors down to be x plus 7 times x plus 2. So let's look at how we simplify this one. So we are going to set up the numerators would be x plus 7 squared times x plus 2 times x minus 1. The denominator, we would have x squared times x plus 7 times x plus 2. So when we factor out or cancel out the factors that are in common, I can see that these two x plus 2's cancel out. Now here we have one x plus 7. Here we have 2 of them. So that means we're just going to have 1 left over. Because remember, x plus 7 squared means x plus 7 times x plus 7. One of them cancels out with this one, leaving us with just 1 more left in the numerator. So what we would have if we use the box method in the numerator is we'd end up having x squared. Now 7x minus x would be 6x minus 7 in the numerator. And in the denominator, we would just have an x squared. So that would be your answer. Hopefully you got that right, or hopefully you were able to do most of that problem on your own. Okay, let's try the next one. So the next one, we would have 6x over 3x minus 30 multiplied by the reciprocal of this other fraction. Okay, so now you should have recognized that the numerator for the second fraction and the denominator for the first one all have a greatest common factor. Okay, now you should have also recognized that this one also has a greatest common factor, that being 9. And if you didn't catch that, you want to remember the first step in factoring is always look for a greatest common factor. But now this x squared minus 3x minus 4, that we're going to use the Xbox method on. So that factors down to be x plus 1 times x minus 4. So let's see, this is a big mess here, but let's see what we have in the numerator. The numerator we have 6x times x makes that 6x squared times x minus 10. And the denominator, we have this 3 and this 9, or 27, times that x minus 10 times x plus 1 times x minus 4. Whoops, ran out of space there. Okay, now let's see what we can cancel out. The x minus 10 clearly cancels out. And I can see that 3 goes into 6 2 times, and 3 goes into 27 9 times, but 2 9s can't be reduced. So right now I have 2 over 9 times x plus 1 times x minus 4. Now if I wanted to, I could multiply those together. But remember, I have that right here. X plus 1 times x minus 4 gives me what we were factoring earlier. the x squared minus 3x minus 4. So now that we would just distribute the 9 through, so we'd have 9x squared minus 27x minus 36 would be your answer. Well, that's it. I know it looks like a lot of work, but I hope you recognize that all of this work you can do if you just remember the process. So if you need to, go back, retry any of these problems to make sure you understand the process before going on to your homework. So with that, good luck now as you work on that assignment.